Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Early Cereal Forest Workshop. My name is Cheryl Friesen. I'm the Science Liaison with the Willamette National Forest. This workshop today is brought to you by two different groups. One is the Central Cascades Adaptive Management Partnership, which is scientists and managers involved with Eugene BLM, the Willamette National Forest, Oregon State University, P&W Research Station here in Corvallis, and the H.J. Andrews Experimental Forest. And anyone else who wants to play with our collaboration can get involved. And the other sponsor is the Northwest Oregon Ecology Group. Cindy McCain is my partner in crime today. She was out there at the registration desk. She'll be facilitating this afternoon. She's the ecologist with the Willamette and Siuslaw National Forest and part of that ecology group. Their newsletter is out there on the table, and you can kind of get an idea of all of the partners that are involved with that. Before I kick things off, let me do a couple logistic things. Restrooms in this building, if you haven't found them, each end of the lobby. There is flip charts out in the lobby that if you've got any questions or comments about challenges around today's topic, please feel free to record those there, and we'll get to them sometime during the day. Out at the registration desk, there's a paper I recommend you read by Mark Swanson and a bunch of other folks on early cereal forest, the forgotten cereal stage. We put on a workshop on this topic about 3 years ago, and it kind of kicked off some momentum. And I'd like to say it resulted in that paper as well as some other work. There will be breaks with coffee, tea, snacks later on. Lunch is on your own, and there will be maps out front for directing you where to go later. The other thing I want to let you know, there's a gentleman standing in the middle of the room with a big camera. You want to wave, John? In case you're wondering, we are filming this workshop so that we can put it on our website. So if you know people who were not able to attend and would have liked to, it'll be available for casual viewing later on. And I will send out a link to that after it's all pulled together in a pretty package, and John gets it ready for me. So trying to use the technology as much as possible, which is kind of cool. So let me kick this off and get going. We'll move on to our speakers. We're here to talk about early cereal forest today. We know we need it. I'd like to think we know we need it. So how do we get it? What we're doing today is kind of turning the world view of forestry a little bit on its head. We're going to change our shift in focus away from the right side of the slide, where we tend to look and want to get to as fast as possible, and spend some time looking at the left side of this slide, that very ephemeral spot on this chart that we tend to want to skip through again as quick as possible to get to the good stuff at the other end. When we had this workshop 3 years ago, I awarded myself and everyone else in the room the Emperor Has No Clothes Award, because I think we'd spent a lot of time not wanting to recognize the value of this forest succession type, and we needed to rattle our own cages a little bit about it. I think I said at that time, if you ever Google naked man on a federal computer, they'll shut you down almost immediately. But they didn't reach out and delete my slides, so we're okay. So early cereal forest, it's truly a rich community, and I put a couple sound effects in here just for fun. Let me see if I can do this. Let's see who out there can guess what they are. Got a guess? Joan? I think it's a mountain bluebird. It's a tree swallow? Oh, well, heck. The MP3 file was mislabeled. Is that an early cereal species anyway? Okay, cool. This early cereal forest had a snag left in it. This is a woodpecker. And I know there's RMEF guys in the crowd. Little morning elk bellow going on. So these are rich places. If you're going to go out and want to watch wildlife or sit in the early morning and hear a lot of sounds, this is the place that you go. It's very rich. We're not even probably going to touch much on the vegetation diversity today, but the wildlife diversity is phenomenal. But we have a marketing challenge. We have been so focused on late successional old growth forest for quite some time and sold people on the value of that we're having a little bit of a difficulty selling the idea that this other end of the spectrum is of a value as well, primarily because it's a condition created from catastrophe, if you think about it. Early forests are born from being burned down, cut down, blown down. This is a hurricane in the southeast. Really blown down and maybe a little volatilized. This is Mount St. Helens, which is recovering just fine, by the way. Also can be pushed down by floods. So how do you convince a skeptical public of the value of an area created from a disturbance? I borrowed this slide from from Dr. Reeves. Sometimes high-intensity trauma happens. We could maybe take sort of a casual idea about it and just go, oh, well, it's going to happen. We don't necessarily have to worry about it. But I think we do need to worry about it. We need to start highlighting the consequences of not paying attention to this particular Cyril stage, and we'll talk about that today. So that's why we're here. Things you're going to hear as we go through the day are what are the natural processes that historically resulted in early Cyril forest, who lives there and why, and where are some thresholds where one thing kicks in and another thing disappears. How much do we need and where and when? It's a question my boss asked me 20 years ago and I still don't have an answer for. Is it in trouble? What are we concerned about? Can it be silviculturally derived? Is there some way that we can make it? Is it okay in riparian areas, or is that just too much of a conflict with listed fish? Is this just a Pacific Northwest issue? We're going to hear from someone from the Southeast, so we kind of get out of our Pacific Northwest mental box. What do we say to skeptics? And Mark Swanson, the author of the paper outside, will be talking to us about that. And where to from here? If this is truly something we're interested in and of value and want to have on our landscapes, what do we do? Is it a policy question? Is it just an action question? What's it going to take? Now, maybe early Cyril forest has a face that only Mother Nature could love. I don't know. We may end up there today. Sorry for any pug owners in here. Any pug owners? Sorry. Golden Retriever just wouldn't cut it for this one. But I think we're just beginning to understand the natural world and are gaining a reverence for life, all of life. This is a quote I found by Roger Torrey Peterson, and he's right. You know, we need to love the snakes as well as the spotted owls. It's not one or the other. How do we manage our landscape so that we can capture the whole rich biodiversity out here in the Pacific Northwest?